whenever you're dealing in government, you have a limited amount of resources. The government can do only so much, but it's designed and should set the conditions that enable things to prosper. Okay, I think the West End, particularly as the African American community moved in, I think has been neglected historically, even with mayors who had good thoughts about doing good things, because they made judgments, in my view, based upon the resources they had and what they thought their priorities should be, and the West wasn't one of them. That was something that had to be dealt with later. And I think as the process unfolded, and this is more complex than I'm saying it, okay, that the deterioration level and the demographics and the policy considerations, including Section 8 and all these other kinds of things, people leaving the community because of better opportunities and our deterioration or whatever the situation is, redlining is part of one of the historical pieces that have compromised the African American community. But it's a combination of things. I think what has happened now, we're in a position where unless there is intensive focus by government and private sector to deal with the deficiencies of these communities, which I say is a reflection of the historical piece, then it doesn't inspire me to have confidence in what the ultimate outcome is going to be. I think what the trend has happened in many other, and when I first got wind of this, but many other communities like in Boston or any major cities and now to the lesser cities, is that what's happening is that these communities deteriorate. The people, the higher income people move out partially because they want to live in better areas or they have better opportunities or because of the white flight, the racial piece. I think that what's happened is that as it deteriorates, it opens up the opportunity in the long run for the speculators to come in. Eventually they wipe out various of these neighborhoods, and then those who live in those neighborhoods, then the question is, and we know the outcome is, they do not participate in that same territorial issue. In other words, they cannot prosper with the neighborhood, they can't afford it. So a different kind of approach has to take place. A more of a multi-income type approach, a more of a strategic and what I call comprehensive planning type approach, which I have failed to see develop in this community yet. So I work hard on it. That's why I put together this group called the African American Community Agenda Initiative, is because instead of getting angry about it, instead of pointing the fingers at anybody, my approach to it, and I think it's the only way that if it's embraced, you can get some results, is that these things are a result of policies, regardless of what stimulates the policies, whether it's class issues, whether it's race issues, or whatever. They're policies that have real consequences to real people that are struggling to do the same thing everybody wants to do. That's raise their kids, get them educated, have safety, security, have proper housing, have some love in the neighborhood, have some family, and live their lives and be respected. Now, who doesn't want that? Mm-hmm. So the question is, how do you do that if these policies, and they're clearly policies that have resulted in this? Well, we have to examine these policies, and we have to engage the policymakers and policy implementers to rethink this so they can reorder their priorities, so they can think in more comprehensive terms, so they can look beyond this 1 or 5 or 10, this quick short-term fix, and look into, well, not only the short term, the mid-term, and the long term. Where do we want to be 50 years from now, but where do we want to be 2 years from now? And how should we be dealing with our communities right now? That's what myself and a number of other individuals are trying to do now. And it looks positive right now, but it's heavy, heavy lifting because, it takes money. It takes people to change their minds about things. These racial attitudes, this community, let me tell you, we've made tremendous progress around racial lines. But I can drive you through this community and dispel everything I just said that I call progress. I could take you to places that will disturb you deeply in the community. Some only 10 blocks from where I live, and some probably even closer, you see? So I don't feel threatened in that environment. Somebody might. But I think short of government being very intentional with partnership with private sector, major private sector, and other levels, saying, look, we're going to straighten this out and we're going to get the right formula and the right policy and the right processes in place. And we're going to make this not only institution building, but we're going to make this for a purpose, and that purpose is for people to realize a better life. And if they don't get into this and they keep doing a little of this and a little of that, and then you get the show thing, and all these things are nice, but they're not going to change people's lives. It's not going to happen. So we're at a crossroads. We can do it, but we're at a crossroads.